Hello, everyone. This is Dan Gramza, and welcome to dangramza.com Market Studies for Monday, July 27th. What we see here, if you're not familiar with these videos, is the daily chart in a candle format. The concept is a swing trade. These are not buy and sell recommendations, but ideas I'd like to share with you. So a green line represents buy, a red line represents sell. If it's solid, it means it's active. If it's dashed, like you see here, that means that something happened earlier in the week. So what do we look for here? It's what I call a false sense of security. It implies a sideways to possibly higher. So if you're on the short side for this market, be cautious on Monday. Also, this market traded above its buy level. Notice it rallied and then it broke to the downside. That buy side closed underwater is what we're seeing here in that market. Now, dollar differences between these levels. The larger level that you see there is $3,100 a contract. The next one is at $500 a contract. And what you see here, this buy to sell level, that one, the most recent, is $2,500 a contract, just to give you a feel for the magnitude of change. Now, we see that also in the NASDAQ market. The dollar difference here is $1,240 a contract. This one is a different structure, and it implies a potential for an equal and opposite as we went through in the advanced video. So be careful on the short side. We could get a pop to the upside on Monday. In the Dow, this is a market that we're seeing the same kind of behavior. It's slowed down a bit. I'm looking for an overall sideways move in that market. It's very interesting in terms of structure. The dollar difference here, just so you have that, that's $550, $15 a contract. And the difference up here between that lower buy level and the sell level is $1,195 a contract. When we look at the Russell, here the small to mid cap stocks, also false sense of security. It implies a neutral or a sideways move on Monday. The dollar difference that you're looking at here is $350 a contract. Again, I don't look for a big move unless something is going on over the weekend with the Middle East situation. The difference here is $300 a contract. I also want to point out to you, if we were on the buy side here, it closed below that buy level. So it closed underwater. Now, what about the dollar? Well, the dollar is that go-to currency when there is uncertainty in the marketplace. And that's what we have globally. We have this anxiety that's being built into the market. And the difference here between this sell to buy level, that right there is $125 a contract. And it also failed on the buy side. It closed below that buy level. So interesting setup there. 1,625 $1,625 a contract. No, that's not right. It was 1,000, $625 a contract is that dollar difference in that market. Now let's talk about what's happening with the Swissy. It also came close, traded just a bit above its buy level, and it failed. It closed below it as the US dollar remained strong. That's what you're seeing happening here in that market. Dollar difference there, $1,537.50. When we look at the Japanese yen, this is at 40-year lows, and people are waiting for the central bank to possibly intervene. So keep your eye on that market. Incredible levels right now. The dollar difference here is $2,700 a contract. The Aussie dollar wants to go higher, but we're just not seeing support for it. Look for a sideways move. British pound trades above its buy level, but it closed below it also. That was underwater. Dollar difference buy to sell level in that market is $686.25. And what do we look for in the Canadian dollar? This is a market that wants to go higher also, but there's just no volume behind that idea. So what we're seeing here is a market that's really struggling. The dollar difference buy to sell level, $600 a contract. Bitcoin also, it's in a sideways mode even though it's gotten weaker. Now, it traded above its buy level and it failed as it closed back down. You and I have seen that in a number of times so far in the markets that we've looked at. Dollar difference there, $2,500 a contract. Let's take a look at what's going on in the 10-year notes. This means that yields are going up when you see these red candles, and it means that on Friday we struggled on both sides with higher yields and then those yields even cooling off a bit and then getting stronger. So very interesting, implies a sideways mode in that market. $312.50 is that dollar difference. The bond market in the same boat in that regard. $1,343.75 is that difference. Look for a sideways move on Monday. Gold also, if those yields continue up, look for this to get weaker. So be careful if you're on the long side for that market. We have that possibility of it turning the corner, but is it sustainable? That's the challenge. Now, the dollar difference here, this buy to sell level, is $1,400 a contract. When we look at silver, silver also, it's struggling. It's not really sure what to do. The bias is for a move to the upside. Dollar difference here, $2,500 a contract. Copper. Demand is supposed to be there, but where is it? It showed up here, but no follow through. We're at levels that we've seen buyers before. Be cautious here when it comes to copper if you're on the short side for that market. Dollar difference here, the buy to sell level, $1,000 a contract. Now look at crude oil. Here we've been struggling as the market moves higher. Friday, maybe some profit taking. Peace talks are supposed to be happening. So we're seeing some easing in that regard. I'm looking for a sideways move in that market. $5,140 is the contract value for that difference, just to give you a reference. And it's $5,670 down here in that regard. Well, nat gas, we have a lot of nat gas. Look for a sideways move. Beans, we've got some favorable conditions. That market, I don't think, is done to the upside. I also feel that corn has more room to the upside as well. It did trade below its sell level and it closed above that. How about that? That's also underwater. The dollar difference buy to sell level there is $650 a contract. In the wheat market, the dollar difference buy to sell level there, 450. Look for an inside day on Monday. Well, those are my thoughts for today. Thank you for joining me. Look forward to being with you again. And as always, take care.